Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. It is November 1st as I am filming it, and it is right after Halloween. We had a really good time. If you are new to this channel, before I get started talking about Halloween, then you should know that I'm an author from Toronto, Canada. I publish under the pen name Ian Sage, and I write a lot of mystery, a lot of fantasy, a lot of young adult, but also like a lot of adult and gothic themes now. That's something I'm getting into. So quite a variety of genres. And on this channel here, which you are more than welcome to subscribe and join if you want to hang out with us here. But I share pretty much everything that I've learned along the way of having been both an indie and a traditionally published author, having published about 23 books so far, with more coming out this year and next year. And anything that I learn, any tools that I pick up, any new tips and information that I have, I try to share in this channel. Now, the other thing that I do on this channel is what we're doing here today is I talk about notebooks and planners and stationery because I am very much obsessed with all that stuff, as I'm sure a lot of authors are, because notebooks and writing are our bread and butter. So I was saying Halloween, this was our kind of not first Halloween with our toddler. She's 2.5. But last year, she was still kind of a potato, she didn't understand what Halloween was, and we had to carry her around. And this was the first year where she got to actually go out by herself and knock on doors and say trick or treat and get candy and show people her costume. She was a dino. She perfected her dino roar before we left the house. And she had so much fun. We had so much fun. We stayed out way longer than we thought we would. She had a lot of energy. We did the whole organizing the candy by kind, and then putting it all in a big pile and snacking and all that stuff later. And it was really fun. Halloween is probably my favorite season because I am very witchy and I write a lot of witchy and paranormal books. So it's right up my alley. And luckily, my daughter is a big fan of anything spooky and ghosts and vampires and witches. So clearly my child. So this is her favorite holiday, I think, as well. Maybe not comparable to Christmas because she gets toys, but candies are a good second best. So that's, the longest rambling intro ever, but I hope everybody had a really fun Halloween. If they're celebrating, and if you trick-or-treated, I hope you had a great time. Now, I am here today because I want to show you my reading journal setup. I was using a different journal before. I was using a journal that I designed before, that I had printed. It was a hardcover. And since Amazon has changed its kind of ways of what they like to give people trouble, I guess, for things like notebooks and stuff, because they're considered low content and they take them down willy-nilly. And I just didn't want to deal with that anymore. I didn't want to risk having my account that has my books on it attached to something like a journal. And since you can't double up your accounts, I just said, forget it. But I needed a new idea. And so my idea was to use a bullet journal because, I don't know if you know, but I started a bullet journal channel a while back. And there was a lot of work to keep up with bullet journaling for my regular planner. And so I scrapped that and I started working in the Erin Condren. And I really love that for everyday planning. But I still had all this bullet journal materials like stickers and stamps and all this stuff. And I really love the look of it. And I love working on it. It's something that I got to do with my hands. Speaking of, I started crocheting and I made this little guy. So he's joining us for the video. But I clearly love to work with my hands. And so I figured, why not do a reading journal that's in a bullet journal? I have a ton of them. I actually picked up this one and I'll tell you what it is in a second. I did a poll on Instagram between this and a squared one, and it came 50-50, and I really wanted to go with this one. This is an Archer and Olive journal. It's from the September subscription. I don't get the subscription because I live in Canada and shipping ends up being absolutely ridiculous, but it's just gorgeous all the way around. And it's got books and it's got this dark academia vibe. And so I figured that was absolutely perfect for a reading journal. And I got this off a Facebook Marketplace listing in a planner, like an Archer and Olive group that's local to me, where people kind of get subscriptions, and if they don't like it, they sell pieces of it. So I picked this one up and I thought, why not? I also had the most perfectly matched pen. This is a Sarasa, I think Lux. Yeah, the Sarasa Lux in the green and gold. My husband got this for me as part of like my little stocking stuffers last Christmas. And I've been looking for a spot to use it. And this is perfect because it matches it perfectly. So with that said, let's see how I set up my reading journal. And you can kind of see what I track in my reading journal, because the beauty of having a bullet journal is that you can actually only track what you need. So you don't have extra pages for like extra reviews you don't need, or things like book bingos. I don't do book bingos, but I am doing something really cool next year. So join me. Let's get into it. So the first page is kind of this the long belongs to, and I whited out the Archer and Olive logo and I put this on top, and this should give you a good idea of what the inside looks like. Also, this journal has this foiling end page, which is absolutely stunning. Now, I glued the first two pages together because if you're a bullet journal user, then you know that the page behind this one often has a glue mark that's across here, and it makes it hard to open to lay flat. So I just usually glue them together. So I just did my name stamped, and this is the title page. So I wanted to do simple, but then I did this. So this is what we're going with now. So I just put 2025 reading journal. I stamped that on. I used a bunch of different sticker kits I already had, a bunch of papers I already had. If you want to know where anything specific is, please leave me a comment, because honestly, to list them, the description of this video would be like 1,000,000 pages long, because they're all scraps. But if you like something specific, do let me know, and I will find a link for you for that specific thing, and I'll answer it, I promise. If I have it, obviously. This is a washi tape paper. This was from AliExpress, I can tell you that for sure. This one was from Journal Say, so it was a pack of paper. So some things I do remember. These stickers here were all from a few different kits that I got from Paper Plus Cloth, which is a local shop. They're like a Japanese stationery shop near us. So that's from them. And that I know for sure. And then these randoms just message me. So then the next page we get into is the index page. And over here, you can already see I kind of started cataloging. I'm numbering. The numbers start on the index and they go forward. And I think this should be enough room for all the book reviews. But what I'm thinking is that if I don't have enough, what I can always do is take another Archer and Olive journal that I have and take some papers and do tip-ins and continue on there, because that's kind of my plan for this. I didn't know how much I needed, so I thought just 2 pages would be enough, but if not, I can tip it in. There's a little bit of stamping in the core on the side, kind of small decors here, and then I just used a matching Tombow pen to do the lines. Then we get into my 2025 books read. And this one I actually did like a little, what do they call these, barn doors? Forget what they're called. There is a name for them. They're like little barn doors, but there is like a journal name for them. And clearly I don't know it. But there's 120 books because I'm ambitious, but I'm also going to be counting things like middle grade books that I read and graphic novels I read. So I did 120. Usually I read about like 80 to 100 like novels, like fiction or novels, and then about like 20 other books that are like nonfiction and graphic novel and sometimes middle grade, that kind of thing. So I just drew out these little boxes where I'm going to print out and put covers as I finish them so that I know how many books I've read in a number. And then what I was going to do is on the covers, because I'll be printing them out, right on the covers, I'll put the star rating and then I'll print it with the star rating so I can see that in advance. So that's what we have here. And then the next page, I'm just going to rearrange my legs. God, I'm sitting on the floor. So if I'm breathy or like lip smacky or something, it's because it's like hard to bend over. Sorry. But this one here is really fun. I'm excited for this. So it's a bookshelf. And I did do a bookshelf this year in my other planner, my journal, but I didn't theme it. I just kind of color it whenever I want. And I saw somebody do it by genre. And I thought that was really cool because then you can get like a glance view of like which genres you are reading a lot more in. So I thought that would be really fun to do. So what I did was I did 8 different genres. So I have fantasy, mystery, young adult, horror, romance, comic or graphic novel, thriller, and other. And those are kind of like the majority of the genres. So other would be like nonfiction and probably middle grade. So that's going to be that. And I would color them in and read the title of the book according to the color code, which I thought would be really fun. This didn't take as long to do as I thought it was. So if you're thinking of doing this, if you simplify it, like if you don't go over the top with like how you design the bookshelf, it doesn't take that long to do. Then I have my 2025 favorites. So this is how I arrange them. This is how I arrange them when I designed the journal. Is every single month I pick out a favorite book and then I carry that over to the quarter box here. And from these quarterly favorites, I pick a final favorite and I do a little talk about it, a little chat. And again, we got ephemera and like cute little stickers and some stamping over here. So that's like a cute little page that I always find very, very useful for a reading journal. Then we have my physical TBR, which is everything I pulled on my shelf. There is so much more than this, guys. There's so many books on my TBR that I am yet to read, but I didn't want to overwhelm myself. And I'm going to tell you what my plan is to read these and maybe some others when we get to the fun stuff, which is coming up. And then I have my new releases TBR, and I kind of already started filling in like the books that I want to read as they release in the different months, so I can keep a track of what's coming out and what I want to read from that. And now we get into the readathon that I'm participating in. So if you have not heard of Book Roast, it's a channel here. So G's doing, it's called a Magical Readathon. I believe it's like 3 years running now. I'm not sure. This is my first year doing it. I am so excited. It's basically D&D for reading. So you get to create a character and there's prompts and you read according to the prompts and there's a whole story. And she did such an amazing job. Like it really like, there needs to be like a world and a fiction world of, like for this readathon, because she did such a great job just setting up the world and everything on it. So you get like history of the world and like where you'll be and like history of your characters, like magical race and where they're from and all of this. And it's really, really cool. She had this art made by an artist. I can't remember the name of the artist. I will try to remember if I can remember, and I'll put it in the description if I can remember. If not, I'm sure that on her channel, on Book Roast's channel, which I will link, there's going to be a whole bunch of information there for you if you want to join it. So there's this cool art made of like the academy, the magical academy that you go to. And so I have this and I set this up. So the Magical Readathon, the way it works is there's 2 semesters in this Magical Academy that you have to pass courses for. It is really, really cool because you study and your studying is the books you read based off prompts. And everything depends on who your character is and the abilities that they have. So like I said, such a fun idea for a readathon. Like it's so involved. So the 2 semesters are the spring equinox and the autumn equinox. And one is in April for the spring and the autumn one is in August. I know it's August, not autumn, but that's when it's happening. So those are the 2. So in preparation for April, I decided that I would do a novice path. And I'll talk about what that is in a second. But the first thing I did was set up my character. So Aeon Darkwood is my character. She is Ulterian, which is basically like a vampire that doesn't drink blood. Like that's the race. Like so cool with all this stuff. She was, the only thing I know about her right now is her lunar phase of birth was the blood moon, which is very appropriate. This was done in, oh my God, what is the name? Again, I'll put it in the description box, but it's a way that you can create like little avatars basically, and people share like things that they set up, and you can change like the hair and do all this stuff. So this is the one that I just created from there. And because of who she is, I kind of think, Iltyrians actually have the ability to shift into ravens. So I know I have bats, but they can shift into ravens, which is cool. So I have one there. But I kind of themed this whole area with like the colors and everything I did to Aeon and her character essentially and her world. So you get all these printouts you actually get for the Magical Readathon. There's a whole Google Drive of all this cool stuff you can get. So I just printed that out. And once I fill this out, which I'll tell you how I will be doing it, once I go through the novice path, I can figure out what all this stuff is. So I'll know what my guild is, what my calling is, what my province would be, my heritage is who I am, but I'll know what my conduit is, what my guild's legacy is, and scholar's traits, I'll fill that out myself. That doesn't get prompted by reading, but I still haven't done it. So now this is the traveler's key for the novice path. And the novice path is basically like a path you take along this map here. Like, how cool is all of this? It's a path you take along this map. And every single stop, you are prompted to read some kind of book. And depending what kind of book you read and what kind of choices you make, it will decide certain things about your character later. Again, how cool. So, I decided that starting in January, I'm going to go take this novice path and figure out my character before she starts her spring equinox semester in the magical school. So, you get like to enter the novice path, you have to read a book with a map. Then you get to the ashthorn tree and you have to read a book that keeps tempting you, or on top of your TBR, which is where we get into this. So this is like these kind of prompts is where I'm hoping to pull all of these from. Because I've got like a book with a map, like Rembreaker, I believe, has a map. So I'll read that first. And then a book that keeps tempting you and is at the top of your TBR. And I think for me, it would be An Education in Malice, even though I put it here, but I haven't read it yet. And I keep thinking I need to read it. So that kind of thing. There's like different prompts that you would take, then to figure out your character's background. So if they're a wildling, you read a book that's largely set in a forest outside. Or if they're an urban creature, you read a book set in a city or town. So again, I'll go back to here and I'll pick a book from here that fits these prompts. And I'll keep going. And this is what I meant, that by reading this and doing this novice path, I will figure out like the province, the heritage, her background, the conduit, which is coming up next, so it's stuff like that. And I printed off the novice path map that's also provided in the Google Drive. Sorry if my head just went in the thing. I'm switching again. And on every stop, I'm actually going to put the book cover of the book that I chose to read. And I don't know, I'm just so excited for this. Like, it's such a good idea. And it's very, very exciting to get people to like read their TBRs, I think. Or not, new ones are good too. Then we go through the choices. So there's a questionnaire and you go through the choices. After you complete your novice path, you get to make these choices and it will, break it down, and based on your answers, you get to join one of the orders or one of the guilds, I guess. And that's kind of how you get sorted. It's a sorting hat, basically. Then there's the admissions key. And so you can choose your conduit by reading for it, and you can choose your legacy by reading for it. So if you want a feather, a wand, a spell book, or a staff, there's different books that you have to read in order to receive one of these conduits. Like, do you see what I mean? How much detail went into this readathon? I'm just so excited. I feel like I just did this whole book just so I could plan out this readathon. So there's all different ones. And then you have a conduit, an extra conduit that you can choose for depending on which order you were sorted into. So that's pretty cool. So that's 2 books right here that you would choose, that you would read. You can only read the one and just stay with the one conduit, or you can read both. Obviously, I'm doing this from January to April, so I'm hoping to get through every single possible prompt. And then the legacy prompt. And then this is according to the actual orders that you're in. You get to read a book for that. Then over here, depending on what legacy I end up with, so I don't really know what it will be yet because I haven't done the novice path, but I'm going to pick one of these. And there should be actually another one. Oh, no. So there is 3 different, so you get these different legacies. So whatever you end up picking, there's a printout for that. So I'll put that in here. And that's pretty much it. Essentially then what I'm going to go into, so after this is finished, I'm also going to have a January page. So this is where I'm going to go into my monthlies here. Is I'm going to have a January cover page, and then I'll have January and then the stats for January on this side, and then I'm going to have my book reviews, so detailed book reviews, and I'm going to try to do a themed for every book. So the way kind of I themed all of this to Ion and my character, I'm going to do themed stickers and designs and all of that, but they're still going to be this kind of style, but they're going to be themed for every single book that I read and review fully. I'll probably try to do a full page review for every single book that I read next year. I think that'll be really fun to try and do. And I'm super excited. I mean, I'm not the fastest reader because I do read pretty much only in the evenings. So I can probably, like, I usually get through four or five books a month, sometimes 3, depending on the book. So I think this will be enough space. And if not, I can move into another one. But that is pretty much the breakdown of this beauty. So what did you think? Do you have a reading journal that you are working in? Are you doing a bullet journal too? Are you setting it up like this? Did this inspire you? Let me know. I hope you guys enjoyed this. As always, thank you so much for subscribing. If you are subscribed and are a supporter on Substack, if you are in the supporting tier, the paid tier, then you should know that the October newsletter already went out. I'm getting some really great reviews on it from people who are reading it. If you are a free subscriber, I believe there is a one-time chance that you can actually test out the paid supporting tier and read this newsletter and see what you get, to see if that's something that you want to get into every single month. But it's basically, I think if I break it down into word pages, it was like a 5 or 6 page newsletter with all this detailed information that I put in about crafting an intricate mystery and how to write a mystery, and the important parts that you should keep in mind when you are plotting and writing and developing a mystery. So that was the topic that was chosen by the subscriber tier. So every single month, the subscriber tier gets to choose the topic for that month's newsletter. And next year, I am going to be adding something really cool, which involves a journal. I'm going to be starting a book club for the supporters for that tier. And we're going to be doing a monthly book club. We're going to pick a book all together, and then we're going to get on a Zoom call, or like maybe a Discord call or something. We'll figure it out how we're going to do the video, but we're actually going to do a video chat, and we're going to like have wine or drinks, and just talk about this book. And that's going to happen every single month on that tier. So that's starting in January. Stay tuned for news. If you're in there, I am very, very excited. If you do want to join us there, then the link for the Fiction Focus Substack is in the description for this. But that said, I am so glad I was finally able to share this with you. I'm really, really excited to use it. It's a beautiful journal. And I am just so stoked to start reading more and tracking it better and just doing creative things while I'm reading. So as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you. And I hope you stay magical, and I will see you all next week for another video. Bye.